Ladies and gentlemen, please be informed that this webinar will be recorded for documentation purpose, and once approved by the speakers, it will be published on our YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe to all CMSCSEP social media channels to keep yourself updated. Dear all, early childhood care and education is the foundation for human development and sustainable societies. Committed to this cause, CMSCSEP continuously strive to contribute through research, capacity building, and policy advocacy. This webinar series serves as a platform to reflect exchange innovation and strengthen early childhood care and education network. Moving to our next agenda, it is our honor to invite Profina Adriani, MED, PhD, the director of CMSCSEP, to deliver her opening remarks. Dr. Vina, the time is yours.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Mbak Ayu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. First of all, I would like to express my highest gratitude to all the esteemed speaker, Shakil Malik, the Chief of Growth and Strategy Advisor of Childhood Education International, Diane Whitehead, the President and CEO of Childhood Education International, Evelyn De Santiago, the Executive Director of ARNEC, and our very own Mr. Widodo Suhartoyo, the Deputy Director of CMSCSEP. So it is my pleasure to welcome everyone today to the webinar on strategic early childhood care and education, policy and investment. This webinar is particularly meaningful because it also marks the beginning of a series of activities celebrating the ninth anniversary of CMSCSEP. Over the past 9 years, CMSCSEP has worked to advance early childhood care education and parenting across Southeast Asia through research, policy dialogue, capacity development, knowledge exchange, and regional cooperation. We are also very pleased to inform you that in the beginning of this year, we worked together with ASEAN Secretariat, CMIO Secretariat, and also fully supported by ARNEC and also Tanoto Foundation. We have managed to launch the ASEAN CMIO Joint Roadmap on early child care education. I believe it is the first roadmap in the region that hopefully can provide some framework on how to expand early childhood care education sectors in the region. So this anniversary therefore provide us not only with an opportunity to celebrate what has been achieved, but also to reflect critically on what remains unfinished and to consider how we can strengthen our collective commitment to young children and their families. The themes of today's webinar is both very timely and also very important. Early child care education is increasingly recognized as a foundation for children's lifelong learning, health, well-being, participation, and also social development and social mobility. However, recognition alone is not enough. Strong commitments must be translated into coherent policies, adequate public financing, effective governance, professional support for the workforce, and equitable access to quality services. Investment in early childhood education should not be viewed as merely an expenditure. It is a long-term social and public investment. Its value cannot be measured only through economic productivity or returns to the labor market. Early childhood policy must also be grounded in children's rights, social justice, gender equality, social inclusion, cultural relevance, and the well-being of families and communities. This is particularly important in Southeast Asia, where children grow up in a highly diverse social, cultural, geographical, and economic context. While the region has made significant progress, many children continue to experience unequal access to quality early childhood services. Poverty, disability, gender, migration, geographical isolation, geopolitical conflicts, climate-related crises, and unequal digital access continue to influence children's life and opportunities. Strategic policy making therefore requires us to ask difficult questions. Which children are excluded from early childhood care and education services? Who benefit most from existing policies and investment? Are resources reaching the communities that need the most? Are early childhood care and education educators adequately supported, professionally recognized, and fairly compensated? Are families and local communities meaningfully involved in the policy development? And how can national and regional priorities remain responsive to the diverse realities of children's lives? And perhaps one also another important question is that to what extent children's voices have been included in the policy making. Today's discussion invites us to move beyond fragmented program and short-term intervention. We need integrated and sustained approaches that connect education, health, nutrition, protection, parenting support, and social welfare. We also need stronger coordination among governments, development partners, universities, civil society organizations, professional associations, communities, and families. Evidence and data are essential for informing these policies. At the same time, strategic policy must not rely exclusively on indicators and numerical targets. It must also listen to educators, parents, communities, and importantly, to children themselves. Their experiences can help us understand how policies are interpreted, negotiated, and implemented in everyday setting. As Simeo CSEP enters its ninth anniversary, we remain committed to providing a regional platform where research, policy, and practice can inform one another. Through this anniversary webinar series, we hope to generate meaningful conversation about the future of early childhood care and education in Southeast Asia. We also hope that this conversation will lead to a stronger partnership and practical action at regional, national, and local level. I also believe that the kickoff webinar that we have today is sort of like a warming up for our learning forum that will be organized together with ARNEC in October. I also would like to express my sincere appreciation to our distinguished speakers for sharing their knowledge, perspective, and experience with us today, particularly Sakil and also Dian. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. I know that it's very challenging time differences between us, so thank you very much for making it happen today. I also would like to thank our partner organizing committee, moderators, and the entire Simeo CSEP team for making this webinar possible. To all participants, I encourage you to engage actively in the discussion, raise critical questions, and share insight from your respective countries and also context. The strength of this webinar lies not only in the presentation, but also in the dialogue and collective learning that follow. So may today's webinar encourage us to think more strategically, invest more equitably, and act more boldly to ensure that every young child, especially in the region, has access to quality, inclusive, and culturally meaningful and caring early childhood care and education. With these remarks, it is my pleasure to officially open the webinar on strategic early childhood education policy investment, as well as the Simeo CSEP's 9th anniversary webinar series. Thank you very much, and I wish everyone have a productive and also inspiring webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vina, for your warm and inspiring remarks. Now it is time to move on to our mind session. I'm very pleased to invite Mr. Rizal Nugraha, who will be guiding our mind session today. Let me introduce our moderator first. Mr. Rizal Nugraha, who serves as the head of the Division of Advocacy and Partnership at Simeo CSEP. He handles collaborative projects, building partnership, and manage advocacy program across Southeast Asia. Without further ado, to my colleague, and our moderator today, Mr. Rizal Nugraha, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak Ayu, as a MC today for your kind introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning and also good evening to distinguished speaker, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the first webinar of the Simeo CSEP 9th anniversary webinar series. My name is Rizal Nugraha, and I have the honor of serving as your moderator for today's session. Today's webinar carries the theme Transforming Early Childhood Through Policy and Investment. We are delighted to have you join us for this important discussion and hope you find today's session both insightful and inspiring. Early childhood care and education is one of the most strategic investment a country can make. Research consistency show that quality ECCE not only support children's development and learning, but also contribute to stronger education system, healthier communities, and sustainable economic growth. However, achieving this outcome require more than a good intention. It requires strong and evidence-based policy, adequate and sustainable financing, and meaningful collaboration among government, development partners, practitioners, and communities. Through today's webinar, we are honored to bring together distinguished experts who will share regional and international perspectives on how policy and investment can strengthen early childhood care and education. We hope that this discussion will generate new ideas, foster stronger partnership, and encourage collective action to ensure that every child has access to quality early childhood education and the opportunity to thrive. For today's webinar, we are honored to be joined by four distinguished speakers who bring extensive experience and expertise in early childhood education and international development. Our first presentation will be delivered by Mr. Shakil Malik, Chief Growth and Strategy Advisor at Childhood Education International, and together with Mrs. Diane Whitehead, the President and CEO of Childhood Education International. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Shakil and also Mrs. Diane. And also our second presentation will be delivered by Mrs. Evelyn D. Santiago, the Executive Director at ARNEC. Thank you for joining us today, Madam Evelyn. And our third presentation will be delivered by Pak Widodo Suhartoyo, the Deputy Director for Program at Siamio Regional Center for Early Childhood Care Education and Parenting. Siamio Susep, thank you for joining us today, Pak. And also, please join me in extending warm welcome to all of our distinguished speakers. We sincerely appreciate their willingness to share their valuable knowledge and insight with us today. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker here from Childhood Education International or CEE, Mr. Shakil Malik, Chief Growth and Strategy Advisor at Childhood Education International. Mr. Malik is a seasoned international development professional with more than 20 years of experience in literacy, human development, and human rights. He is the co-founder and chief executive officer of the Global Center for Innovation and Learning, and has held several leadership positions at World Learning, including vice president of a global development and director of ReEdge project and the Global Reading Network. Throughout his career, he has successfully led major education initiatives supported by organizations such as USAID, UNESCO, the Pearson Foundation, and Nokia Corporation. Mr. Malik holds a master's degree in educational leadership and policy from the University of Maryland, a master's degree economic from Aligarh University, and bachelor degree in commerce from the University of Dhaka. Joining him today is Mrs. Diana Whitehead, President and Chief Executive Officer of Childhood Education International. Mrs. Whitehead has dedicated her career to advancing children's education, promoting families' well-being, and advocating for the human rights to the education. Under her leadership, Childhood Education International has significantly expanded its global through strategic partnership, innovative education program, and active engagement in international education forum and United Nations initiative. She is also the creator of Education Diplomacy and co-author of the Education Diplomacy Professional Standard and the International Principle of Practice for Education, and making significant contribution to the strengthening the professional development educator worldwide. Now, without further ado, let us begin with our distinguished speaker. You have 20 minutes to deliver the presentation. Mr. Shakil Malik and Mrs. Diane Whitehead, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to all of you and good evening wherever you are in the world. And we send you evening warmth and also congratulations to both the champions and the second place of the World FIFA if you are a supporter of Argentina or Spain, as we start our webinar. My name is Shakil Malik, and I am accompanied by my distinguished CEO, Diane Whitehead, here with the Childhood Education International. We are really privileged and honored to be invited to this webinar series, which is ultimately culminating to the Learning Summit for CESEP and CMEO. And we are really also privileged to speak about such an issue about the early childhood development and its investment issues. So I will share a screen, and I will first hand over to Diane to give an introduction, and then I will be going into the details of this presentation. Diane.
All right, so hopefully everyone can hear me. Thank you so much. Again, it's an honor to be included in this webinar as part of the CMEO CHICHAP 9th anniversary celebration. And I can't wait until next year when it is the decade celebration as well. So congratulations on all the work over these 9 years. Yes, you'll be hearing from Shakil Malik in just a few moments as well, but I wanted to set the stage by taking just a few minutes to talk about how we advocate for these stronger policies and investments in ECCE, and ultimately, how do we make that elevated commitment to early childhood development. And we can do this one way through considering early childhood development as really a critical public good. We know that ECD is intersectorial. We know that it takes many sectors to come together to really look at what is a holistic system to be able to deliver these services to young children and their families. But we don't talk so much about the fact that this really creates a momentum for ECD to be something that is what we call a public good. So public good is something that creates a benefit for everyone in society. Everyone in society. So when a child gets a strong start, the whole community gains. Everybody gains. The public benefits, when we look at them and sort of break them apart, we see that caring and nurturing young children, supporting their education and well-being, it gives a better future workforce, skilled and dedicated community members and citizens, stronger families. It provides that family to be able to be stable, and that really supports community and supports whole nations. So I really think the work, again, of CMEO CHICHAP has been outstanding in this area, and that great progress has been made in the Asia-Pacific region, and congratulations for that. In fact, I also think this region of the world is one that other regions are following. There are so many innovative things happening in the region. But we've got a lot of work to do, and we know that, and children are still often placed on the back shelf and take a lower priority to other societal needs. And that's frustrating for all of us who are really looking to those stronger policies, that stronger investment. How do we move this forward? How do we really get the momentum going? And our traditional advocacy call for this has often been that young children need us, right? Young children are vulnerable, they're fragile, it's a sensitive time for their development, and they need us. And that is true. Young children do need the support and protection of us. They need adults, there's communities, other entities and institutions and commitments from governments too, in order for them to really grow and develop optimally. However, we also know that we talk about young children being a precious human asset, our most precious human asset. If this is the case, if children are indeed our most precious human asset, then don't we in fact really need them as much as they need us? Turning our stance to how much children need us, how much children we need children rather than how much they need us, it does really change the advocacy dynamic in extraordinary ways and deserves consideration not only in the Asia Pacific region, but globally. Investing in children then becomes an urgent public good. When we talk about that it affects all of us, it needs immediate attention, and it needs, rather than being squeezed into policy agendas and policy statements, we really need this to sit above and kind of be a collective for all societal needs. We know that Simeo Chichap really knows this reality quite well, and the partnerships they've evolved are pointing and leading to this. Children then are the future workforce. They are at the center of our social and economic success. We will rely on their skills as innovators and entrepreneurs to solve some of the most pressing and complex challenges that our communities and our world faces. Investing in early childhood development and ECCE, therefore, it really is the most essential public good that one can think of. It's a benefit that helps everyone in society, not just the child or the parent, but all of us. Strong ECD policies and investment in early childhood provide stronger economies, more stable societies, a better world for all of us. So the next time we're advocating, and I know you go out and do advocating all of the time, all of you, let's think about how we change that dynamic. Let's think about how we start talking about early childhood development as a vital public good. Children who are happy, healthy, and have a good start in life are the foundation of our human future. It's so important. So we just wanted to give a little kind of different starting point in how we think about advocating for these policies and think about advocating for these investments. Is there another strategy that we can use that really puts children at the center of everything? So I thank you so much. Again, I really appreciate being here. I've had a little bit of a problem with my voice, so I'm going to let Shaquille talk more than I'm going to talk this evening, but I am here to answer questions, of course. But let's think about that. Let's think about that as sort of a new starting point for how we all set the stage for moving this agenda forward. So thank you so much. I greatly appreciate being here with you. Over to my colleague, Shaquille.
Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you. Actually, the phrase that you use, public good, changes the entire conversation. Normally, we would ask, how much does early childhood cost? You know, it's a common question. But instead, we should ask, what does society gain when every child thrives? I think the argument that is bringing forward, the answer is enormous, because it's countless. Children who receives a strong start, we all know, are more likely to succeed. Communities become healthier, government spend less on remediation, business benefit from a stronger future and workforce, social cohesion improves, economic productivity increases. These are benefits shared by everyone, not only by the child. And this is why we often describe roads, electricity, digital infrastructure as public good. But today, we are arguing that the human development is just as important as a physical infrastructure and as a public good. And healthy children are essential national infrastructure. Now, it's interesting. This is nothing new to all of you, the experts on the room and in the room, and many people who are on the webinar, that the evidence is very clear. The evidence is very clear because research over last 40 years has consistently reached the same conclusion. Early investment produces benefit across an individual's entire lifetime. We know this from lifelong learning processes. Children arrive at a school more prepared for early development. They remain in school longer, which also reduces school dropout. They achieve better learning outcomes, which we have seen in 57 countries actually through the foundational literacy and numeracy programs around the world. Their employment opportunities improve in the youth workforce development. Their lifetime earning increases. World Bank has many studies now on this. But also one very interesting point is that one of the best known study is the work led by Nobel laureate James Heckman. You all know this is nothing new, but it's very relevant still because the idea was increasing the generated return of rate of return 13% per year. We all know this number, but it's very relevant still because the figure comes from one specific well-designed intervention, not every program, but it demonstrates something very important that reminds us investment made during the earliest years can continue generating benefits for decades later. Few public investment produce such long-term returns, and even the larger hardware infrastructure that we see always doesn't produce that kind of return. Now, as we go deeper into the conversation, why governments should invest? Governments often see early childhood as the responsibility only with the education ministries. In reality, every ministry benefits from this work. Health ministry benefit because healthier children become healthier adults. Education ministries benefit because children enter school ready to learn. Interestingly enough, we have seen finance ministries benefit through stronger economic growth and higher future tax revenue from children who are educated. And labor ministries benefit through a better prepared workforce because they are looking for very skilled labor in the workforce. Social protection system face fewer long-term costs because children are better in their lives and well-being. So government investment in ECD should never be viewed as a consumption. It's very kind of economic structure thinking. It is the development of national assets because we keep talking about human resources, but then are we really making our children the resources, not just human? Children are every country's most valuable renewable resource. Now, what should government finance? I think this is a lot of discussion now with the ECD financing, but this is very crucial discussion for all of us. What should government finance in the larger scheme? I just want to spend a minute or two on this. One of the biggest lessons internationally is that government should stop financing isolated projects and begin financing systems. Now we have seen enough piloting. Even a large scale, multi-district, multi-province program is not a national program. These are larger pilots. And how do we scale up? How do we go from project ending to system remaining? Government should invest in quality preschool access, teacher preparation, professional development for them, nutrition programs, health programs, parent education programs, which all of you do and advocate for, inclusive education from early start, quality assurances of the program that we offer, integrated information system. And of course, everybody is talking about AI, but when we are discussing with many ministries, still ministries are struggling with conceptualizing AI for our work. When this integrated information system works, everything improves. When this investment work together, children experience seamless support rather than disconnected services or individual projects. Our goal should be moving from project to sustainable system, and which is strengthening the system. Now, a little bit more on the finance and economics of our discussion. There are certain financing principles. If you have studied economics and finances in the larger public financial management and domestic resource mobilization, there are very specific principles that we need to follow. The question is no longer whether government should invest. That was an old question. The question is how we're going to invest. And the 5 principles really matter for us in any country that we are looking at right now. investment must be first be adequate. It's not just sporadic, sprinkles of investment. There has to be long-term, enough funding to ensure quality, because quality comes with a price. Secondly, it must be equitable. Resources reach disadvantaged children first. And this is amazing because we are not seeing in every country that it is an equitable in business investment. Too little funding produces poor quality. And we have seen this over and over again because in many projects fail. And of course, we don't always talk about our failure. The next item is really to think about too little funding. Secondly, it must be equitable. We talked about children facing the greater disadvantages should receive greater support. Finance must be sustainable. It's not just for one project. It's continuous funding that need to be continued to remain sustainable system. Countries cannot depend forever on donor funding. So how do we build public financial management systems and something we call domestic resource mobilization for such work? And then the fourth investment, thinking about funding allows evidence. It's really interesting because investment should follow evidences and proof that it is developing successful programs. And finally, government must measure. And this measurement is accountability for all of us, for the work that we are doing. Government must measure outcomes, not simply spending. And we keep talking about, we spend millions and millions of dollars, but what is the outcome of the spending? Ultimately, we should finance children's development, not institutions or isolated programs. So this is the five principles that we all like us to discuss and continue to talk about. Now, there are a couple of other important areas that we're going to continue to talk and highlight. Why private sector investment matters. And we have seen many examples from the health sector, even the education sector last 30, 40 years. Governments cannot do this alone. This is reality. Business also have a very important stake. Every employer depends upon tomorrow's workforce. If you ask a company, what are you looking for? The biggest worry for company owners are the workforce and the skilled labor force for themselves. That workforce begins developing long before children enter school. So 0 to 5 is a foundational year where we create, critical thinking and problem solving skills. Then they succeed in the school level. The benefit when parents remain in the workforce, they benefit. When parents remain in the workforce, they benefit from improved gender quality. And in long term, they benefit from a healthier, more capable workforce. So investing in early childhood is also workforce development, if we see it this way. Now, we talk about different partners, and of course, our great partner is here, Tornado Foundation, the Lego Foundation, Ready Nation. Many partners are already investing a lot. What can the private sector do and what can they learn from? Many countries already support early childhood by often through philanthropy. The opportunity is much bigger, actually. Businesses can provide childcare, paid parental leave, flexible working arrangements, parent education, technology support, infrastructure development, and of course, many of this happen through public-private partnership and community investment programs. Organizations like Tornado, like Lego, like Ready Nation demonstrate the business leadership can complement public investment. So it's hands together. The goal is partnership, not replacing each other. So we should not be thinking about, well, now the private sector is funding, so maybe public sector don't need to fund. It's hands together, working together in a parallel process. The private sector helps strengthen the ecosystem. Few more highlights, and I assure you all that I'm going to be finishing very soon, and I know Rizal is looking at my time very seriously. So innovation of finance is very important area because this is a question we always hear from, that how could the financing could be innovative. Countries around the world are finding creative ways to finance programs and ECD. There are dedicated national budget lines, are developed joint funding across ministries. So it's not one ministry financing anymore, not only Ministry of Education or Welfare or Maternal, Child and Health Ministry. Conditional cash transfer that happens in certain countries that we have seen examples of. There are corporate partnership that is happening for funding and the programming. Of course, there is also development finance, which is large scale infrastructure financing. There are certain donors and bilateral, multilaterals look for results based financing. Now, each country will develop its own model. It's not always replicable. Sometimes we may be exporting and importing wrong models to our own countries, which may be not contextual, maybe not right model for us. So we need to be very careful the model that we are bringing for our own country, and how are we customizing our model. But the lesson is consistent. Long-term financing requires multiple partners working within one coordinated national system. And you have to be diversified funding. It's not one source of funding. And not many separate projects operating independently. Even we are looking at certain countries, we see that projects are working in silos. They don't talk to each other. They are not coordinated, and they are not even sharing information. So this is very big system loss for us.
Okay, Mr. Sakil, I think your time is up. Maybe you can move to your recommendation, maybe?
Right, it's only 2 more slides and I'm at the end. So really making sure the South Asian opportunity, of course, we know there is so much opportunity in South Asia. We have expanded enrollment, policies have improved, regional collaboration has grown, but we also have a lot of questions to ask ourselves. And that's what I'm going to highlight and end my conversation with. I leave you all with 5 questions that we need to continue to think about. Is, if I had only 1 minute with Minister of Finance, what I would ask? I would ask the 5 questions. That the questions are: what proportion of our budget reaches children before age of 6? Are we investing enough in quality, not only access? Which children are still being left behind in my own country? Are the ministries investing together or separately? Can we demonstrate measurable returns for us? And then finally, of course, there are many compacts we see to make sure the strong ECD requires shared investment. And there are many examples, and this is what I will send you all. I think we will share the PowerPoint. You will all see the examples from different countries. What are the investment examples and what are the lessons from Singapore? There is Indonesia, of course, has very nice example itself. Vietnam, New Zealand, Estonia. And we learn from all of this example and what is best for us. How can we really invest? And then finally, our message: ECD is a human rights, it's an economic investment, a workforce strategy, a social equity strategy. And finally, ending with what Diana started to talk about, a public good. Children are our biggest asset. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sakil Malik, and also Mrs. Diane Whitehead for your inspiring presentation. And I know it's a little bit late in US right now, but for all the participants, if you have a question for Mr. Sakil Malik and also Mrs. Diane Whitehead, so maybe you can keep your question, and we will have a question and answer after all the speaker have present their presentation. And then we move to, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mrs. Evelyn De Santiago, the Executive Director of the Asia Pacific Regional Network for Early Childhood. Mrs. Evelyn holds a Master of Art in Economic of Development from the Institute of Social Studies, or ISS, Erasmus University in Den Haag, the Netherlands. She has more than 20 years of professional experience in international development with expertise in early childhood development, or ECD, strategic planning, program management, and grants development and partnership building. Before joining ARNEC in 2015, she held several leadership positions at the Child Fund International in the Philippines, Timor-Leste, and the Asia Regional Office in Bangkok. She also worked with the GIZ and the government of the Philippines throughout her career. Mrs. Evelyn has been a passionate advocate for children's rights and firmly believes that every child deserves access to quality early childhood development through strong collaboration among government, development partners, and the other key holders. Without further ado, let us begin with our distinguished speaker. You also have 20 minutes, ma'am, to deliver your presentation. Mrs. Evelyn Santiago, the screen is yours.
Thank you.
You want to
Thank you.
present by yourself or
Yes, yes.
our team? Okay,
Yes, but
please, Mrs.
yeah,
Evelyn.
yeah. But can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, let me just share my screen. And I just want to recognize the very good presentation from Dayan.
Hi, Ms. Evelyn.
Freezing?
I think you are freezing right now. You
Oh,
can hear our voice?
Can you hear
Or
me?
maybe yes, yes. We can hear you, but your screen is freezing, I think. Maybe if it's okay for you, you can off your camera, maybe. Maybe there is a internet problem.
yeah, signal.
Yes. Yes, Pawit. It's I think seen a problem here. Hello, Miss Evelyn. You're still with us?
I think you can turn off your camera if that has helped, maybe.
Yes, Pawit. I think Evelyn has left this Zoom meeting and maybe she will join with us again.
Let me check.
So, okay, please, Pawit. But if but if he's still waiting for Evelyn, and if they cannot come to us right now, maybe we can move to you, Pawit, if it's okay for you. But what do you think?
Yeah, yeah, it's okay.
Or maybe for our team, for IT team, Pak Denny, you can find Mrs. Evelyn on the list of participants. Maybe you can move her into a panelist session.
Yeah, I sent a message to Evelyn as well, but seems that the signal is really problem. Yes, yes. She responded.
So,
She, she,
okay,
she, she responded. Trying to
sure.
rejoin. She's trying to rejoin.
Okay. So we are waiting for her, or we can start for you, Pak?
Uh, I need to check with Evelyn.
Okay, please, Pak. I'm sorry.
She doesn't know what happening, but she find yes. Okay, I can start.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Mas
Okay,
Rizal.
sure. Okay, sure, Pak Widodo. Since we are still waiting for Mrs. Evelyn, so we move Pak Widodo to be our second speaker today. Maybe I will introduce you first, Pak Wid. Pak Widodo is a distinguished leader in early childhood development, social welfare, and program management, with more than 30 years of professional experience at UNICEF, Sanoto Foundation, and Siam UNICEF. And throughout his career, he has worked closely with a government, universities, development partners, and education practitioners to advance policy and programs that strengthen early childhood care and education across Southeast Asia. And his expertise include policy development, advocacy, multi-stakeholder collaboration, program implementation, and capacity building. Among his many contributions are establishing the ECED department at Sanoto Foundation, supporting the implementation of holistic integrative ECD policy across Indonesia, contributing to the development of Indonesia Child Protection Law and establishment of the National Commission on the Child Protection, as well as leading initiative on child-friendly cities, birth registration, and child protection. And then, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, and let us begin with our second speaker today, Pak Widodo. You have 20 minutes to deliver your presentation. The screen is yours, Pak.
Okay, Evelyn, sorry, you already rejoined, but maybe I can start.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Rizal and others. It seems that everything has been explained thoroughly and in detail by Diane and also Shakil Malik. However, since I'm already here, so I will do also presentation to reinforce what has been previously explained by the Shakil Malik and also Diane. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to extend my congratulations to Simeo CISEP on its 9th anniversary. May the organization, as it grows older, succeed in realizing its vision and mission of improving the well-being of young children across ASEAN. Today, I'll be sharing insight on how ASEAN countries. So, can someone to help me? Yes.
Sure, Pak.
Okay.
You help us.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Today, I'll be sharing insight on how ASEAN countries are transforming early childhood through policy and investment. This presentation highlights how strategic collaboration and financing can build strong foundation for our region's youngest learners. Next, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you to join me in understanding the significance of early childhood, which serve as the foundation for lifelong learning, health, and productivity, as well as the return on investment we gain by allocating funds to early childhood development. This slide beautifully captures the essence of early childhood as the foundation for lifelong learning. From birth to age, children experience the most rapid period of brain development. During these years, neural connections form at astonishing speed, shaping how they think, feel, and interact with the world. What happened in these early years truly matters. Positive early experiences, nurturing care, play-based learning, and responsive relationship, building the cognitive, emotional, and social skills that last a lifetime. Quality early learning doesn't just prepare children for school, it prepares them for life. Its strength, resilience, curiosity, and the ability to learn continuously. Holistic development means we must look beyond education alone, integrating health, nutrition, and family support. When these elements work together, children thrive. Finally, governance and coordination are key. Investing in early childhood is not only a moral imperative, but also a strategic one. As UNESCO reminds us, the first years of life form the foundation for everything that follows. Next slide. Now, what about the return on investment if the state invests in early childhood development, as I mentioned earlier, and also mentioned by Shakil. This slide illustrates one of the most powerful arguments for investing in early childhood education, the remarkable return on investment. Every dollar invested in early childhood can yield up to $7 in benefits to society. These returns come in many forms: better learning outcomes, improved health, reduced inequality, and higher future earnings. When children receive quality early education, they are more likely to succeed in school, stay healthy, and contribute productively to their communities. This means fewer social costs and stronger economic growth in the long run. Investing early is not just about education. It's about building human capital. It's about ensuring that every child, regardless of background, has the opportunity to reach their full potential. As this visual shows, early childhood investment is both a moral and economic imperative. It's one of the smartest, most sustainable strategies for national development and social equity. Next slide. Awareness of the importance of investing in early childhood development programs across ASEAN countries has grown, evidenced by rising enrollment rate in several nations, yet disparities persist. This slide shows the enrollment rates in early childhood care and education across ASEAN countries. At the top, we see Singapore and Brunei with very high participation, 98% and 94% respectively. Malaysia and Thailand also show strong progress with enrollment rates above 75%. However, as we move further down, disparities become clear. Indonesia and the Philippines are still below 70%, while Vietnam is at 55%. In Laos, PDR, Cambodia, and Myanmar, fewer than half of young children are enrolled in ECCE programs. These differences highlight three major challenges: urban-rural disparities, limited funding, and fragmented policies and workforce capacity gaps. The message here is that while ASEAN has made significant strides, there is still a long way to go to ensure equitable access. Addressing these challenges will be critical if we want every child in the region to benefit from quality early childhood education. Next slide, ladies and gentlemen. The ASEAN-CMO Joint Roadmap on ECCE was launched in Jakarta on June 9, 2026, as mentioned previously by Professor Vina. At its core, the roadmap outlines how ASEAN nations will act to improve the well-being of young children across the region. A key feature of the roadmap is the identification of 7 key areas that will serve as a reference for early childhood development in each respective country. This slide presents the 7 key areas of ASEAN-CMO Joint Roadmap on early childhood care and education. The 7 key areas that will guide our collective effort to advance quality and equity for every child in the region. First, access and equity, ensuring inclusion and standardization so that all children, regardless of background, can benefit from ECCE. Second, family and community engagement, strengthening parenting support and empowering families as the first educators. Third, governance and coordination, building stronger system and partnership to align policies and programs across sectors. Fourth, quality and standard, improving teacher training and setting clear standards to raise the quality of early learning. Fourth, workforce development, investing in the professional growth of ECCE educators to ensure that they are well prepared and motivated. 6, financing and sustainability, securing resources and long-term investment to make ECCE program resilient and future ready. And 7, monitoring, evaluation, and research, using data and evidence to track progress, share best practices, and continuously improve. Together, these 7 areas form a comprehensive roadmap. They remind us that transforming early childhood requires not just isolated initiative, but coordinated, sustained action across the entire ASEAN community. Next slide, please. One thing we agree on is that early childhood development cannot be undertaken by a single sector. It requires cross-sectoral collaboration, and cooperation between countries is also essential. This slide highlights the collaborative pathways that makes early childhood education successful. At the center, we see early childhood programs, the heart of our investment. Surrounding this are the key sectors that must work together to make this program strong and sustainable. The public sector provides government funding and policy direction, ensuring ECCE is part of national priorities. The private sector, through corporate social responsibility and foundation, brings innovation and additional resources. Communities and NGOs play a vital role in local initiative, ensuring programs are culturally relevant and responsive to families' needs. Meanwhile, research and training institutions strengthen teacher development and provide evidence to guide practice. Above all, regional collaboration through organizations like UNICEF, ARNEC, and also CIMEO-CISEPS connect these efforts, allowing countries to share knowledge and build capacity together. When these pathways converge, the outcome is clear: sustainable and inclusive ECCE that benefit children, families, and society across ASEAN. This is how investment becomes transformation. Next slide, please. Cross-country learning to improve the quality of early childhood development is crucial, as also explained before. Here is a concise overview of what we can learn from several ASEAN countries regarding early childhood development. This slide showcases examples of how ASEAN countries are innovating in early childhood care and education. In the Philippines, the Matatak agenda focuses on curriculum reform that emphasize resilience and teacher. The goal is to strengthen foundational learning and build teacher capacity so that children enter school with stronger skills. Another Philippine initiative highlights the importance of a joyful transition from ECCD to primary school by centering learning on the child's need and readiness. This approach ensures that children move smoothly into formal education with confidence and enthusiasm. In Indonesia, is the emphasized cross-sectoral integration. This means linking education with health and nutrition, ensuring that children's development is holistic and that learning is supported by well-being. This example illustrated the diversity of approaches across ASEAN. Each country adapts its strategies to local needs, but all share the same vision to provide children with strong foundation for lifelong learning and development. And the next slide. Finally, in this brief presentation, I would like to put forward a few points as recommendations that ASEAN countries could potentially implement. This slide outlines for key policy recommendations to transform early childhood care and education across ASEAN. First, we must strengthen national ACCE frameworks, aligning them with the ASEAN roadmap and the Sustainable Development Goals. This ensures coherence and sustainable in our policies. Second, we need to invest in teacher training and capacity building. Expanding professional development opportunities will improve the quality of teaching, directly enhance children's learning outcome. Third, it is essential to promote cross-sector coordination. By integrating education, health, and social services, we can provide holistic support for children and families. Finally, we must establish regional monitoring and evaluation system. Sharing data and best practices across ASEAN will strengthen accountability and allow countries to learn from one another. Yes, and thank you for your attention. We'll have explain how policy and investment can truly transform early childhood development across countries. Thank you very much, and back to you, Pak Rizal.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Widodo, for your inspiring presentation. Now, maybe we are moving to our last speakers today, Mrs. Evelyn Santiago. You are with us right now, Mrs. Evelyn?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just putting off my video to
Okay,
save
sure.
on the bandwidth. So I'm really sorry for the technical difficulty, but if you can share my presentation from your end.
Yes, sure, Mrs. Evelyn. Maybe
Thank you.
our IT team will help you to share the presentation. Okay, without further ado, Mrs. Evelyn, I have introduced you before, so you have 20
Yes, thank
minutes
you.
to
Thank you.
deliver your presentation. Please,
Right.
Mrs. Evelyn, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Pak Rizal, and again, thank you to Simeo Chechep for inviting us to be part of this webinar as a way of celebrating the 9 years of Simeo Chechep in supporting parenting and ECCE programs in Southeast Asia region. So much has been said in terms of the benefits of early childhood development and ECCE. So my presentation for today will really look into some of the initiatives that RNEC is supporting in relation to ECD policies and financing, which are two, critical areas in strengthening the regional ECD or ECCE system. Can I have the presentation from your end, or should I try it from my side?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I think I can do this from my end.
Yes, Mrs. Evelyn, please,
Do you see?
you can share.
Do you see the
Yes,
screen?
yes, we can
All
see
right.
your presentation, please.
All
You
right,
can
all
do
right.
by yourself.
Sorry, really sorry about this. Okay, so let me begin by recognizing that there have been a range of global and regional commitments to investing in early years, as outlined, in this slide. First, of course, is the inclusion of a specific ECD target in the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly Target 4.2, that states that by 2030, ensure that all girls and boys have access to quality early child development, care, and pre-primary education so that they are ready for primary school. There is also the Tashkent Declaration adopted at the World Conference on ECCE held in Uzbekistan in 2022, which advocated for equitable access to ECD services, curriculum and inclusion, the support for workforce development, and of course, financing and policy. At the regional level, you will also see that we have a lot of declarations, starting with the Putrajaya Declaration in 2016, the Pacifica Call to Action on Early Childhood Development in 2017. There is also the Kathmandu Statement of Action in 2018, and the Hanoi Call to Action in 2019, which came out of the RNEC conference in Hanoi, which began to look at the impact of climate change and environmental degradation on young children. And of course, as Pak Widodo said, the ASEAN Leaders Declaration on Early Childhood Care and Education in Southeast Asia. All of these international and regional commitments, however, are not being translated into actual ECCE investments in the countries. And so ECCE continues to be accorded low priority in a situation wherein many sectors are competing for limited resources. In this slide, you will see a snapshot of the many risks faced by ECCE sector, in the region. While we have seen some improvements, for example, in terms of access to ECCE and ECD services across sub-regions, there is still wide, disparity. In fact, the Asia-Pacific regional average for pre-primary enrollment only stands at 63% in 2023. And this means, it leaves over one third of children without access to any form of pre-primary education. And even if you look at the percentage of children who participate in organized learning 1 year before primary school, it has also declined from 84% in 2015 to 78% in 2022 and projected to fall further to 76% by 2025. We don't have, the recent data yet. And also a very important point that only 6 out of 46 countries in the Asia Pacific have adopted at least 1 year of both pre and compulsory pre-primary education. In the same manner, we see key challenges affecting ECCE in the region. The low public investment in the ECCE sector. In fact, most of the countries in the region spend below the global benchmark of allocating 10% of total government education budget to pre-primary education. And this chronic, underinvestment results to shortage of qualified ECCE teachers with countries such as Cambodia and even Philippines and Cook Islands reporting very high pupil to qualified teacher ratio. And again, disparities in access, and also ECCE is under pressure from the impacts of climate change experiencing, leading to poverty, disease, displacement, trauma, and disruption to education at all levels, including ECCE. Addressing, these ECCE challenges in a region requires us to go back to a basic framework on promoting holistic and inclusive early childhood development. I'm sure we are all familiar with the nurturing care framework, which is, a roadmap for action, and it also highlights how policies and services can support parents, families, caregivers, and communities in providing nurturing care for young children. It has, the 5 indivisible components that young children need in order to thrive, and to reach their full potential. More than this, the framework also highlights the institutional support that families need to improve early childhood development. That includes financial investments as well as laws, policies, governance, and coordination. This slide is our attempt to demonstrate what we have found out, a few years back when we did a mapping of multi-sectoral approaches to early childhood development in the region and the coordination mechanisms that support such holistic approaches. In that mapping, we have identified key elements or factors that are needed to strengthen the whole ECD ecosystem that includes, governance and policy, planning and coordination, programming, workforce development, financing, and research and evidence. Of course, the mapping highlights the importance of having ECD policies that are multi-sectoral, supported by costed action plans with adequate financing. These policies and plans need to be supported by effective coordinating mechanisms as part of overall ECD governance. And so in strengthening, the ECD ecosystem, RNEC, just like CMEO CHECHEP, as a regional organization as a social impact network catalyzes collective action for transformative change in the whole ECD system. Overall, the ability of a regional network like RNEC, to organize for increased impact is what we would say is our greatest, contribution to the sector. And this includes the ability to convene diverse partners and stakeholders, connecting research, policy, and practice, collaborating with global, regional, and national partners to foster learning and share good practices, and also innovations on ECD, and most importantly, catalyzing meaningful and sustainable change by supporting ECD leaders and stakeholders in the countries to influence policies, integrate and institutionalize evidence-based approaches into the ECD systems. I think, in the earlier presentation of the other speakers, we really put premium in terms of, the importance of partnerships and collaborations in supporting holistic early childhood development. This slide just outlines some of the network mechanisms that we use in moving the ECD agenda in the region, including conferences and learning forums, webinars, research and evidence. Again, the importance of partnerships at all levels, but most importantly, the strengthening of the capacity of the countries, deepening country engagement through national ECD networks and multi-sectoral coordination. Okay, what follows are some examples from the countries in terms of strengthening their ECD systems through policy and financing. Let's start, with Cambodia. Cambodia, has built a strong ECCD system through a national policy endorsed by the Council of Ministers and a costed national action plan for ECCD. Governance, is led by a national committee for ECCD, which is multi-sectoral. It brings together 11 ministries and supports intersectoral coordination across, education, health, child protection, and other social services. So the Cambodia models looks at, having a strong policy, having a multi-sectoral coordination, a costed plans, and it shows how we can align policy, financing, and multi-sectoral implementation of early childhood development. Then we look at the Pacific Regional Council for Early Childhood Development. The Pacific countries established the PRC for ECD to guide and strengthen a whole of government and whole of society approach to ECD. The council comprised of ministers of finance, education, health, and social welfare, and is a very unique and high-level multi-sectoral body that fosters collaborative and coordinated approach across governments, civil society, private sector, and other relevant stakeholders. It supports, the Pacifica call to action on ECD, which incorporates, all elements of early childhood development, including also the need to prioritize ECD for climate and emergency resilience. So this is the model from the Pacific. Coming to the Philippines, the government adopted a comprehensive ECCD law, which was approved last year and institutionalizes comprehensive services for children under 5 and highlights the role of not just the national government, but more so of the local government units in ECD service delivery. It highlights the need to professionalize the ECD workforce and standardize their salaries and benefits, and there is funding allocated both at the national and local levels. The government, allocates billions of pesos to the local government support fund, specifically to upgrade, daycare centers to child development centers, having, quality standards and creating formal plantilla positions for child development workers. So again, there is the law, There is, the policy, there is the plan, and a financial commitment. Let's take, a briefly, I'd like to walk you through the need to invest, on ECD. I know we have been saying this, but let's look at, the evidence. And again, both Dayan and Shakil and even Widodo, already presented how the evidence, that there is enough evidence to show the significance of ECCE in building the foundation for lifelong learning. All of us knows the Heckman curve, which provides the strong rationale why early investment matters. And it shows that the highest rate of economic returns comes from the earliest investments in children, highlighting the fact that society invests too much resources in later development when it is often too late to provide greater value. And so again, if we look at there's a lot of reason why we should, why countries should invest on early childhood development. It is the foundation of human capital. Underinvesting today creates much larger economic and social costs tomorrow. And so if we look at, the key challenges in ECCE investments, if the case is already strong, and it is strong in terms of investing on early childhood development. So why are countries not investing enough? What are the key challenges? We can cite, few key points here, which may not necessarily unique in the region, but nonetheless need to be looked into. So first really is that, ECCE is not a political priority. Hence, it gets insufficient government budget. There is also a lack of quality data on ECCE financing, the lack of sustainable and innovative financing mechanisms, and there is limited enabling, governance and coordination mechanisms that are multi-sectoral. On top of these issues, of course, is the fact that COVID-19 pandemic has greatly impacted the ECCE sector, and there was a global decline in ECD financing. Increasing investments for ECCE needs to be prioritized. ECCE has been chronically underfunded for the longest time. And so, at this juncture, I wanted to share the Act for Early Years campaign, which is a global campaign led by Their World, UNICEF, UNESCO, Lego Foundation, ECD Regional Networks, and many more partners. And RNEC is the regional amplifier for the campaign here in our region. The main goal is to mobilize at least $1 billion in new commitments from governments, international donors, businesses, and philanthropy. The campaign will culminate in a first ever International Financing Summit on early years in 2027. The campaign aims to call on governments and partners to increase investments, be it in public financing, and position ECD as a national development priority, mobilizing political leadership and champions, generating evidence and country commitments, and the very important point of strengthening accountability for investments. And this is how RNEC is supporting this ECD financing campaign. So we serve as the regional campaign coordinator, supporting countries to translate the campaign into national advocacies, some financing and policy dialogues, financing commitments, and again, supporting cross-country learning. So in summary, what can be done to increase ECC investments in the region? On top of the list is the need to really have political will. For example, by providing at least 1 year of free and compulsory pre-primary education through increased provisions and investments. There is also a need to build capacity in data analysis, prioritization, planning, and costing for ECCE, and have it integrated, mainstreamed in broader education sector plans. There is also a need to promote for an integrated and coordinated financing system, which means involving different sectors using a coordinated approach for leveraging resources across different sectors and different levels of government. This can help in pooling multiple sources of financing, identifying gaps, and avoiding segmentation for increased ECCE services. Building the capacity of the countries in ECD planning and budgeting through the ECD financing toolkit developed by partners such as ECDAN, UNESCO, Brookings Institute might be useful in this regard. And we will see how ARNEC can support that process. ARNEC strongly supports the Act for Early Years campaign by in terms of really advocating for increased ECD financing, and our support comes in three forms: providing a regional platform to convene different stakeholders, facilitate regional policy dialogues, and sharing evidence and innovations; providing technical support to countries in strengthening ECD policies, developing multi-sectoral strategies, integrating ECD financing, and documenting good and promising and innovative practices. And also supporting campaign mechanisms such as building national advocacy coalitions, especially at the country level, engaging champions and decision makers, and amplifying voices from the field in regional and global discussions. Thank you for listening, and please, if you have time, visit our website and follow our social media channels for more ECD updates. Again, thank you and congratulations to CHECHEP on your 9th year anniversary. Thank you. Back to you, Rizal.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Evelyn, for your insightful presentation. And then you are right on time also. And we have now come to question and answer session. And we encourage to actively participate in the to everyone participate in the discussion and take this opportunity to engage with our distinguished speaker by sharing your question and insight. And if you have any question for the speaker, please feel free to use the raise hand feature when invited, and also kindly unmute your microphone and ask your question directly. And also, you may type your question in the Zoom chat and indicate which speaker your question is addressed. We will be happy to facilitate the discussion and ensure your question are addressed. Please feel free, everyone, if you have a question for each speaker for today, and maybe our team will help you to join this panelist room, so you can ask your question directly to our speaker today. But for Mr. Malik, hello, you are still with us, Mr. Shakil Malik?
Yes, I am here.
Yes, I have notes from my colleague. There is a question for you in the Zoom chat. The question is like, thank you, Mr. Malik. I really like your point that quality outcome should focus on children, not just the program. And from your perspective, how can we ensure quality assurance is embedded from the beginning in the program design and implementation, not only at the evaluation stage? Please, Mr. Malik, you can answer this question.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the question. I responded on the chat, but I guess it went only to the person who asked the question. not everybody can see. So quality assurance should not begin at the evaluation stage. Of course, it should be built into the program from the start, right? So there are 5 stages of this that we need to think about very clearly. First, you got to define success based on outcome of children, not just program activities. Secondly, you need to establish clear quality standard for teaching, learning, environment, inclusion, family engagement, all the items. Thirdly, investing in continuous professional development and coaching for the educators, because quality depends on people. And fourth, use ongoing monitoring and feedback to make improvements throughout the implementation, not just one time, rather than waiting at the end of the program. And finally, measuring what truly matters, not only how many children participate, but whether they are actually learning, and developing and thriving. So in short, quality assurance should be embedded in program DNA from the design through implementation, with a continuous focus on improving outcome for children, not at the end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Zakir Malik, for your answering this question. And maybe Mbak Nisa, would you mind to help me if there is a participant want to asking the question? Or if not, I have a second question to all of speaker for today, Mbak Nisa, or maybe Pak Denny. Is there any question again from the participant? Okay, I think there is no question, but again, because you are the first speaker today, Zakir Malik, I have writing about the question for you regarding your presentation before. I have 2 questions. Maybe I can put it on the Zoom chat and I will read it to you.
Sure.
Okay, sure. Yes. The first question is, you just mentioned that investing in early childhood is about smart policy and smart economic policy. Could you elaborate on what you mean by a smart social policy? And then the second question is, we often hear that investing in early childhood can generate significant return in the future. For example, that every dollar invested today can generate several dollars in return later on. But what are the concern outcome from additional several dollars for the development of the children, social, or even border the country? I believe it is important to make this outcome more measurable and contextual, because doing so could help policymakers better understand the real impact of investing early childhood and build greater awareness of its importance. Please, Zakir Malik.
Yeah, it's interesting because you are defining both sides. I think I will first try to respond to the first one, and maybe, I don't know, Diane, you are still here. You can also help me. When we think about social policy, a smart social policy, it actually is an integrated approach. So it's not just a single policy, it's an integrated policy approach, which is designing, implementing, evaluating social programs that combines evidences. It also has digital innovation, it has predictive analytics, and there is also people-centered delivery. So what people are looking for to improve social outcome. But then we also look at, is it efficient? Is it equitable? Is it sustainable? So smart social policy is definitely different than smart economic policy, which might make more money for the economy, but it's not always equitable, it's not always efficient, or it's not sustainable in many cases. So we really want evidence-based social policy, and not reactive. It cannot be reactive. You need to do preventive rather than reactive interventions in the society, so that we have better citizenship. Children are actually having a healthy life and well-being and all of that. So many times we try to respond to a problem when the problem occurs. So that's how we kind of think about smart social policy. The second question is quite long, so I'm trying to trying to see. You write a very detailed question. Investing in early childhood can generate significant return in the future, but at the end, you are saying, I believe it's important to make this outcome more measurable and contextual. Doing so could help policymakers. Yes, it's absolutely correct, because the concrete outcomes, it's not just dollars. Dollars is one number, right? That you can measure that, okay, economically it's benefiting, but there are many other social aspects. So, for example, right now I give a very interesting example to you from AI, because people are saying, okay, is AI good for us or AI bad for us, right? The question is not AI good for us or AI bad for us. The question should be, are we using AI for the betterment for us? How are we training machine to help us, not become a slave for the machine? Rather, the machine would be our slaves, to do good work. So investment also is the same way, that how you really define success, what you are investing for. Is it the improvement and the well-being of the children and the equitable and sustainability, as I mentioned earlier? It's not just the dollar amount, because dollar amount, many countries can earn many different ways, and return on investment on other things, but surely is different for ECD. Diane, I don't know if you want to add anything here.
No, I don't, excuse me, I don't have much to add to that, but I would like to say that one of the things we've got to become much better at is really looking at how we measure sort of these changes, and especially the social changes that are happening. I was talking a lot about public good, and when we look at this as a collective way forward, right, for societies in general, how are we going to show that? So I think that's really something that we have to have a discussion about, and make sure that we understand well those points of change that we can measure, that then we can share with governments and other private business that we want to invest in ECD, to really show how this changes the entire scenario, right? It's not just about sort of small incremental social changes, small economic changes. Children are it. Children are our human future. And so that's what we really need to kind of take on board and think about in our early childhood community. How are we going to get that message across? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sakil, and also Diane, for your brief explanation about that question. And maybe if there is another Mbak Nitsa and also Pak Denny, or if there is no, I have another question to Pak Widodo. Pak Wid, are you still with us?
Yes.
Yes, Pak. I have write it on the Zoom chat. The question for you is, we often talk about investing in early childhood as a long-term investment with benefit that may only become visible years or even decade later. However, policymakers usually work within relatively short term and may need to demonstrate visible results during their own period of leadership. So, how can we bridge this gap between the long-term nature of early childhood investment and the short-term political priorities of policymakers? And what can we do to ensure that early childhood remains a sustained priority, and that the transformation we start today continues into the future? Please, Pak Wid.
Thank you for the question. Actually, the bridging long-term impact into the short-term political priorities is very important. So according to me, the policymaker can be engaged by first highlighting immediate wins or low-hanging fruits, if we often heard about that. Highlighting immediate wins such as improved school readiness, reduced repetition, and stronger parental engagement. And the second also, we can do the institutionalizing ECCE policies through national frameworks, multi-year budgets, and monitoring system to ensure continuity. And also to bridge this, also building multi-stakeholder partnerships, so responsibility is shared beyond government cycles, and also framing the ICCE at the national building, giving leader both short-term recognition and long-term legacy. So according to me, in short, there's quick result, secure long-term structure, and build broad ownership to keep early childhood a sustained priority across political cycles. So as we know that usually the political persons, they only have a 5 years term or even a 10 years term, but this is a very short, and so that's why we can show the political parties or the political person that this is very important to have the short-term and long-term achievement. That's all, Mas Rizal.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Widodo, for your explanation about that question. Or Prof. Tina, you have opened your camera. Maybe you have some.
I'm okay, thank you. I'm
Oh,
listening
yes.
to the whole conversation.
Okay, thank you, Ibu. And also, Mbak Nisa and Pak Denny, we have question from the participant or no? Or if no, I have also the question for Miss Evelyn Santiago. Mrs. Evelyn, you are still with us right now?
Yes, Pak, I'm here.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Evelyn. So I have a question to you, Mrs. Evelyn. I have a slightly more maybe a personal question. You have mentioned several principles of what an ideal early childhood financing system may look like. Based on your own experience and perspective, is there any particular financing approach or perhaps a country whose system you find especially interesting that you think is working relatively well at the moment, especially given the current global challenge? I'm not asking you to identify the best country, of course, but I'm very interested to hear your personal perspective on a model that you find particularly inspiring or worth learning from. And please, Ms. Evelyn.
Thank you for that, question. I think, each country is different because, we have, each country has a different context, and unique circumstances. But part of what we do in RNEC is really to look at the different models and see what is working in one country, what is innovative, and what can be shared widely in the region. And so, in my presentation, I have shared, for example, how Cambodia was able to really put in place their a strong policy framework, and their policy framework actually when they were developing their national ECD policy and their governance structure on ECD, they actually learned from how Philippines is, doing it. And so there is like a cross-country learning, that happens between Cambodia and, and the Philippines. But then again, Cambodia might be strong in terms of policy, in terms of plans, in terms of, financing, but still you can see the challenge in terms of their enrollment, particularly for 0 to 3. And so right now, what they're doing is really to provide stronger focus on providing, child care programs, child care centers to focus on the 0 to 3. While, at the same, in the same manner, we have seen countries like Mongolia. Mongolia in the recent years, have really increased their enrollment, almost universal. in terms of pre-primary education. And when we asked them, I think they shared in one of the learning forums, in RNEC, that what made the change, their progress, they really attributed to the financing that came from the government. So they really increased their public, financing for early childhood development. So that's also one model. And then if you look at the Pacific, but the Pacific region as a whole, it's also inspiring to see how the different ministries are working together in advocating for holistic, sustainable, and resilient early childhood development. And what strikes me and what is interesting in their model is that the council, the Pacific Regional Council for ECD, is usually, is led by the steering committee is led by the Minister of Finance. And because, oftentimes we tend to bring together, the usual suspects, I would say, the ministries of education, health, social development, but we don't, we don't really bring in the ministries of finance who hold, the budget. So I think that, in relation to what we have been discussing earlier, partnership, should really be across sectors and across levels, of government, including, not just the national, but more so the local government units, which is in most cases, in most countries, is really in charge of the delivery of ECCD services.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Evelyn, for your kind explanation about this question. But I think it's very late in the US right now for Sakil and also Diane. So maybe we can wrap up, we can close this session. Thank you very much to our distinguished speaker for your valuable insight and thoughtful discussion. I would also like to thank all participants for your active engagement throughout today's webinar. We hope today's discussion has provided a new perspective and strengthened our shared commitment to advancing quality early childhood care and education across Southeast Asia and also the international. With that, I would like to hand the session back to our Master of Ceremony, but I have one pantun maybe. Rose Red, Violet Abru, thank you for joining us today and have a wonderful day, all of you. Thank you and have a nice day. Back to you, Mbak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rizal Nugraha. And once again, our gratitude to all of our speakers for sharing their knowledge and inspiration today. It has been an honor to learn so much about policy and investment in early childhood care and education. Before we proceed with closing today's program, I would like to take this opportunity to express our science appreciation to all of our distinguished speakers and our moderator maybe, for sharing their valuable knowledge, expertise, and inspiring insight through today's program. But I need to invite first our Director of CMSISEP, Profina Adriani, to give the certificate of appreciation. Dear Profina.
Okay, thank you again, Mbak Ayu, and also Pak Rizal and all the speaker for such insightful discussion. I really look forward to meeting everyone in person in October in our learning forum. So hopefully we can have more detailed conversation. So in the meantime, the certificate will be online, but hopefully next time I will be able to give it in person. So first of all, to Diane Whitehead, thank you very much for your presentation. I invite everyone to give a virtual round of applause, and then second to Sakil Malik, thank you again, sir, for your active participation and also knowledge that you have shared with us. Thank you so much. And also for Evelyn, Thank you, Evelyn, for today's presentation and also for the continuous support and also collaboration between ARNEC and also Simeo CSEP. And last but not the least, for our very own Mr. Widodo Suhartoyo. So it's not jeruk makan jeruk ya, Pak ya. So thank you so much, Pak. I also learned a lot from you. So again, thank you so much, everyone. It has been very wonderful discussion. It has been very late as well for Sakil and Diane Whitehead. I truly admire your patience and also your commitment to stay in the discussion. And also, Evelyn, thank you so much for all your support. Back to you, Mbak Ayu. Pak Rizal, last but not the least, our very own Pak Rizal. Sorry, Pak Rizal. Okay, our very own Pak Rizal Nugraha. Thank you, Pak, for becoming such a great moderator. Yeah, so the discussion becomes flawless due to your active moderating. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much, Dr. Vina, and all of participants today's webinar. Really thank you. Before again we close the today's session, let us capture this moment. We kindly request to all of you to turn on your camera Zoom, prepare your best pose and smile. I need to maybe will be assisted by our team IT. Are you ready? Okay, okay. Everyone, please hold your best smile as we take the screenshot. Okay, already? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then let us do the sign C for
C
CSEP,
sign.
collaboration, children, and care. Okay, the team?
CSEP also.
Oh, also, yeah, CSEP. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Evelyn, Diane, and also Sakil. Look forward to seeing you soon
Thank
in
you.
person. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so much,
Sakil,
Sakil,
Diane,
Evelyn, and
Evelyn.
Diane.
Thank you.
Bye.
See
Bye-bye.
you
Bye-bye.
again.
Bye-bye. Good
Nice to
night.
meet you
Bye.
today.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Okay, thank you very much for all. For your certificate of participation, dear participant, a certificate will be available starting 1 August 2026. Detailed information on how to access the download your certificate will be shared through Xiaomi CSEP official communication channel. So I would also like to encourage all of you to stay connected with us through our social media platform. Please make sure to follow our social media official accounts on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube by searching Xiaomi CSEP. Okay, and then please also kindly request to check the moment to fill our webinar evaluation. And ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to remind you that our webinar series is not over yet. Tomorrow on 21st July, we will continue with our second session under the theme Ready School, Ready Communities, and Building School Readiness. In this upcoming session, we will explore how school and communities can collaborate effectively to support children's transition into primary education and ensure that every child is ready to learn and enjoy their school experience. So please make sure you don't miss it. Okay. Finally, thank you so much for participation today. I am Ayu Mauliana and have a wonderful day ahead. Stay safe and see you. Yay.
a better world. Let us take a stand for a vision of hope, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and dream. Here a savior, building the future is our legacy. We'll achieve our goals through partnership, creating opportunities. By working hand in hand, we can accomplish all